How do you find the will to fight back against a world that wants to keep you sedated, average, and stuck in place? Join us for the tools and strategies you need to create a life of abundance, discipline, and high achievement. This is the Tactical Empire with Jeff Smith.
Welcome to another episode of the Tactical Empire. I'm here today to talk about what's been going on so far this year. And we have had quite a busy start to January. We had my son's 6th birthday. And so we didn't end up going up to Dallas for our mastermind at the beginning of the month. But last week I had to put on a mastermind that I run for Two Brain Business, which is a fitness business owners mastermind for the top 1% of fitness business owners in the organization. So it was an exciting time. We're in Austin, Texas, and it's always fun to get together with that group of people just because they are so caring. They're such service-based entrepreneurs. I enjoy pouring into them and having a lot of fun with them on direction setting and focusing on where they're putting their earned income, what their next opportunities are to scale, how they're building wealth and strategies that they have for that, and how they're changing families and changing their family and then changing their communities around them. And I think oftentimes working with small business owners is super gratifying because they really do care deeply about their communities, but they often take for granted their overall impact that they have the ability to make. And I mean, I think this is a message that certainly resonates with probably everybody. And that's one thing that I harp on them about is that they have far more impact than they realize. As do you. Each and every one of you listening has way more impact than you understand. Your actions are being watched by people, whether it's your kids, whether it's people in your community, whether it's your customers, clients, coworkers, the rest of your family. What you do, you are a leader to other people. And so that's something that probably gets taken for granted constantly, but we need more leadership in the world that's solid leadership. And so I work with entrepreneurs specifically, but like that group of people have the ability to really change the world and change their communities. And it starts with you. I mean, we've talked about this on past episodes, but I mean, ultimately you managing yourself and leading yourself well leads to leading your household well, and that reverberates in your community, and your impact is just a ripple effect. And then you can truly move mountains over time with compounding interest of deposits of positive actions, consistency, right? But I'm also huge on like the ability to utilize money as a tool in that department and make sure that you are increasing your wealth exponentially so that you can have the freedom and the impact that you desire. And that's different for each and every person because each and every person desires different things. They want to do different things, but ultimately the bottom line is money is a tool that can be used for very, very positive things. I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in people around me's life, and it's an amplifier of your current personality, your current values. If you're a generous person with no money, you're going to be a generous person with a lot of money. And so you think about the ability of good people that have a good value set to be able to make impact in their community and all around them. And it's super powerful. So along those lines, I actually was having a conversation with Nick Komalatsus, who is a friend of mine, a former special operations guy as well. And he called me today. He helps run a program, Bedros Keuilian's program, which is the Squire program. It's a program for young men to create strong young men effectively. And you go through it with your father, and it's a father and son program. And it brings a lot of wonderful attributes to it of kind of leadership, suffering, personal development, and growth. There's ice baths and a lot of physical fitness and uncomfortable situations that some people are used to, but it's powerful to go through that with your sons. And as soon as I saw that Nick was doing it again, I reached out to him and I said, "Hey man, what's going on?" And he happened to be out in LA doing it with a young man who didn't have a father figure. And Nick flew out there to do it with him as a surrogate father. And so I immediately hopped in and said, "Hey man, how do I get on board with that?" Like, because my son's 6, I would love to do this program with him eventually. But if you guys need anyone ever to hop in, I'm there in a heartbeat. And so he was like, "Hell yeah, man. We're actually trying to bring the program out to North Carolina." He just ran it in North Carolina where he's at a couple weeks ago, beginning of November. So about 6 weeks ago, he ran it out there, but he was talking about some things that they're working on to see if he can bring future events out there too. So they can run it on both coasts, which would be amazing. But that was just another amazing opportunity. And then I'll be speaking in 2 weeks at a real estate event, Apex Investors. I got invited to open that event up with Dan and Brandon Brittingham, who are friends of mine, are going to be running their mastermind. And they've asked me to speak on leadership to the real estate investors in that group. And that just happens to be at Cowboy Stadium, which is going to be a very cool opportunity to spread some knowledge to those guys about personal leadership and how you kind of consistently lead yourself to develop your wealth over time, and how the way you do those things leads to the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And the way that is how you stay consistent and accountable to yourself to get the results that you're looking for. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to talk about special operations. I'm going to talk about my experiences and also how they led to real estate investing, things I see in the community as far as being a real estate investor, and what traits, attributes, qualities I think are necessary to create success in that field. And so I'm very much looking forward to that. That's February 2nd. Should be an awesome event. I'm excited to get to be there with everybody else. I've done this speech one time to a team of realtors, actually. And so I'm looking to polish it up and see what we can do, drop some knowledge on some people. So I'm excited about that. And I actually am bringing my wife onto the podcast for some future episodes, because I prefer to talk back and forth. I think she can bring a lot of value to ultimately the project that we're working on, which is like building your empire. And that's the theme of this podcast. I mean, I think that it's important foundationally to talk about relationships and the congruency between operating in an entrepreneurial setting as an investor, as a business owner, and then how that integrates with your life and work-life integration, things like that, how we've structured our lives to support our 4 kids and homeschooling them, their activities, and still getting everything done that we need to get done while trying to grow our wealth, trying to grow in every aspect of what we're doing. Because I mean, that's entirely what we're doing on a regular basis, which is the 4 F's: fitness, family, freedom, and finances. Those are things that get checked in on every day. And really our weeks are structured around those areas. And So I'd like to bring her on and get more insight into how that works and the work-life integration that we do. I've heard some questions in our masterminds about some of those things coming up between spouses and trying to operate in silos and setting your goals independently of each other, and things that we talked about when we spoke about annual planning and how to do that and how to integrate your spouse. And I think that she and I just conversating and going back and forth on it will answer a lot of questions on the reason to do it. I'm 100% believer in it. I think that prior to us getting on the same page, she wrote a book about our relationship prior to that, but we operated independently of each other in silos. And it led to us having ceilings in a lot of areas, and ultimately not being happy in our relationship in general, because we weren't growing closer. We were growing further apart. And I was struggling with bumping up against financial ceilings, whether it was earning income or whatever it was, or making a lot of money and having a setback, making a lot of money and having setback. I was stuck in this cycle where it was just, I couldn't figure it out and everything else. But like ultimately what brought it all together was that integration of everything that we were trying to pull off, because we were trying to grow a family. We were trying to have a great relationship. We were trying to have kids and do all this other stuff. At the same time, we were growing businesses, and when it wasn't an integrated situation, it really wasn't working out. And so now we communicate more. Everything kind of flows together, and things are far better. And we've blown through a lot of those ceilings that we were having problems with. And so it's been a great blessing over the last 3 to 4 or 5 years. A lot of work's went into it, and the process and the progress has come from the process and just sticking to it consistently and adjusting and making mistakes, cleaning them up, and moving forward. And so we will be doing that coming up. And I'm going to do some more episodes about wealth building, how I utilize life insurance policies to buy real estate and other things, kind of the infinite banking system. People have questions about that. They've been bringing them up. So I'm going to talk more about that. I may bring on a co-host, if you will, for an episode to talk about infinite banking and how to utilize it, and then how to get that money to cycle and have the cyclical rate of money that the banks use. And individually, you can create that within your family and your structure. And once you do that, it's very powerful after a few years. And that's truly the way to build wealth. And once you start utilizing that and funding it over time, you'll see an exponential growth from it, because you'll stop paying interest rates to the banks. You'll start using your own money. You can pay interest to your bank, your family bank, and it starts to build and build over time. So that is one thing I wished I would have started. I've probably been in them for 6 years. I wish I would have started it 26 years ago. So they are a powerful vehicle, one that I believe in as an entrepreneur's 401k. It's very important. And when I say that, I mean that these life insurance policies are, the way I view them is they are kind of like the investment vehicle that you use in the corporate world as a 401k. I don't like 401ks. These are kind of an entrepreneur's 401k, because it's a retirement program that you can use later if you choose to ever get out of working, which most entrepreneurs that I know have no intention of stopping working at any time, because that's what's fulfilling to us, right? So I hope you guys had a great holiday. I hope you're starting off the year in tremendous fashion and sticking to all your goals, focusing on those habits. I think I've talked about Streaks before. It's an app I use on the phone. It definitely tracks all your data. It's something you need to, not your data on your phone like the CIA. It's tracking your habits on a regular basis and puts together an aggregate of how your year was, so that you can be trying to move the ball move momentum forward at a 1% a day rate, or whatever you want to refer to it as. You're trying to get better each and every day, each and every year, year over year, and just continue to stack those wins, and you'll see the progress over time. So it's still just 2 weeks into the year. I hope you guys are dominating and continuing to stick to your goals. We'll have another episode out next week, and I can assure you it will be meaty with whatever topic we're addressing. So have a great week. Attack your week. Make sure you understand that you are leaders in your community. Behave that way and set the example.
Thank you for listening to the show. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Tactical Empire.